Hello, happy Monday. Um, okay, it says I'm live. Okay, here we go. It seems like every time I do this thing, it's like the first time. But here we are. Thank you for joining us today for the Inner Creator Coaching Walkthrough. We are on week 5, y'all, and as you can tell, it's chilly on this October day. I have to pull my scarf out. But thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Um, I'm super grateful for this opportunity to share this inner creator coaching process with you. It has been a extremely satisfying journey for myself on this side of things, and I hope that it has been enriching for you as well. If you are just catching this is the first video that you're watching, I highly encourage that you go back to session 1 and start from the top. But also, there are some juicy gems and some good insights that you can get from this one as well. But definitely go back and start from the beginning. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Anjulique, also known as Anjulique the Artist. I am an expressionist artist. Arter. I do the arter things, you feel me? I'm an expressionist artist, a spiritual life coach, and a youth mental wellness advocate. And I created this inner creator coaching process to support people with living an authentic life without blame, shame, or guilt. This is a process that I have found myself on as I've been on my own personal self-development journey. And I wasn't always Anjulique the artist. I wasn't always living from an authentic space. I was living from a space of survival. And when I say survival, I mean survival at the very bare minimum. A very bare minimum. And we have a tendency as humans to just assume that struggle is where we're meant to stay, that we're meant to only make it by just the by and by, every day, just living day to day, living month to month, just finding those little nuggets of happiness and not living in happiness. Do you find yourself having that mindset? Do you find yourself thinking that happiness is a treat or a dessert instead of the main course? Do you find yourself struggling to live the life that you actually want to live because you think that you're meant to struggle? You're meant to live in poverty. You're meant to live in lack. That was definitely a mindset that I had. And through my spiritual process, through my self-development process, through finding accountable community and support, I was able to recognize that I have the power within myself to create the life that I desire to live. I have the power within myself to live in abundance, because that power that is in me is the power of the divine creator, the power of the universe, the power of source. And it really is my own limitations, my own human experience that is keeping me in a space that is confined. Because the universe is unlimited. Source is source. There is no lack there. There is only creation there. There is only prosperity and abundance there. And so this process is to support other people as I support myself with tapping into that inner creator, with tapping into that abundance and that prosperity and that authenticity, so that we can live lives that are free from blame, shame, guilt, and full of abundance and joy and prosperity. And today, this week, our 5th week out of the 6 weeks, ooh, almost done, is to celebrate our conscious connection, to celebrate the new experience that we are creating for ourselves. Over the past 4 weeks, we've talked about first that you are created connected. that you are created connected, that you are already connected to the inner creator, that you are already connected to divine source, that you are already connected to God. You're born this way, you're made this way, created in the image and the likeness, made from the stardust, made of what everything else is made of. You're already connected. We've been given this beautiful imagination that we can use to put together things that already exist, to create things that we didn't know could exist without our imagination, because we have that creative power within us already. First week, we are created connected. Second week, we talked about the separations that we imagine. Again, our beautiful, powerful imagination, we can use it to imagine that we are living in lack. We can use it to imagine that we are living in struggle. We can use it to imagine that we are living in poverty. We can use it to imagine that we are separated from the opportunities that we want to participate in. And you might say, Anjulique, but my bank account looks like this, and my relationships look like this, and my job looks like this. And it can look like something different if you use your imagination to create something different. To really create and meditate and think about what you want. And we also talked about the attachments to the things outside of ourselves. Sometimes what I found, and not even just sometimes, most of the time, or majority of the time, we get so attached to those external circumstances, other people, expectations and labels and our upbringing, and all of the things that are on the news or that we see on social media. We get attached to those things more than we're willing to focus on and connect to our inner creator and our inner ability. You know, you said like, but my job and my relationships, your attachment to those things is what's confining you to the limited experience that you're having. When you're able to connect to your inner creator and you're able to be more mindful of your capacity to create and to build and to transform, then you can have the life that you are looking to create. You can have the life that you desire. And we have to release those separations. And that's what we talked about in week 3. We talked about creating a clearer connection through release. So we assess the attachments that we had, what separations that we are imagining was pulling us away from our inner creator, was pulling us away from being internally connected, and now we're releasing them. We're releasing them so that we can create a clear connection with ourselves. Because when you release those attachments to outside situations and relationships and resources, and you start tapping into yourself, you're able to attract what is meant for you, what you desire. You're able to see more clearly the path that you want to take, what is going to lead you to where you want to be. But you have to release those other things. And we also talked about the importance of releasing and replacing. Because if you just release, if you just let things go, it creates a void within your energy. It creates a void within your mind. It creates a void within your life. And the universe is like, we got to fill this void with something. We got to create something to go here. And as human beings, if we do not create something intentionally to replace, we will refill what with what we already know. Let me repeat that. If we don't intentionally replace, we will refill with what we already know. And I have found that to be true for myself time and time again. And it was not until I intentionally learned this practice from a great friend of mine, Stacey Henry Carr, this release and replace, this cancel and replace, and how powerful it is to be aware that I can release something, I can let that go, and I can plant a new seed. And in week 4, we talked about strengthening our connection through personal practice. And these personal practices are what we are using to replace our old habits and patterns that we are releasing because they were creating separation. So we're going, so in week 4, we talked about getting personal practice, doing mirror work, journaling, being out in nature, being with supportive community, being a part of conversations that are elevating, being in books and in scripture, if that's what your lane is, like really building a practice that works for you to be mindful and intentional about honoring the connection that you have to your inner creator. So that's what we talked about last week. And then this week, week 5, we're talking about celebrating our conscious connection. We are celebrating the new experience that we are creating. One of my favorite mentors, Lisa Nichols, is really big on this. I've gone through a few of her courses, and one of her major things is celebration. The power of positive reinforcement is real, y'all. And you can do it for yourself, okay? And it's important that you do it for yourself so that you recognize that you are honoring you. It's recognizing that you are honoring you. You can recognize that you are seeing yourself and that you are making progress and that you are in tune with the actual life that you desire to build for yourself. So often that we can get so used to seeking external validation, used to seeking approval from outside sources, from teachers, from coaches, from parents, from spouses, from children. We're like, oh, my kids think I'm cool. Okay. But what kind of life are you creating? You know, your parents are proud of you, but are you proud of you? Really having that connection to yourself so that you can validate who you are and you know that you have that power instead of giving that power over to someone else. So self-celebration is so important, and especially as we are going into this week 5 experience of establishing a new relationship with our inner creator, where we're consciously doing our personal practices. If you did the self-work, okay, for the week 4 and the week 3, it's important that you say, I did that. And if you only just watch the videos and, kind of just go like, oh, maybe you took a few little notes, but you didn't actually go through all the things, still celebrate yourself for showing up. That matters. Celebrate the micro wins. Celebrate the small things, because that is how you are able to really begin watering that seed of progress with little drops of water. It's like a little dropper. You're like, doo, doo, just a little bit at a time. Celebrate those micro wins, and it will help you to flourish. So again, this week we are assessing what our progress has been like and celebrating what we have been doing, because often we overlook that on our path to shifting our lives, especially when it comes to releasing what was holding us in a place that we didn't want to stay. Especially when we are adults, it seems like this is what I should be doing, or we have overcome something. We're like, well, I'm glad I'm through this, but I needed to get out of that place. Or we can become overly critical, like, I'm not doing this right, or I should have done this sooner, or whatever. However, as I mentioned, it's been shown that positive reinforcement is extremely powerful in maintaining progress towards desired outcomes. I've been taking this science of well-being for teens, through Yale University on Coursera, and it did a research study about, well, not them, but they shared a research study about how people can be like a drill instructor for themselves, and how speaking to yourself in that way, and like this, you gotta do this, go do this, you're a worm, you're a maggot, go do this. How that is a lot less helpful than speaking to yourself with compassion and realness and honesty and openness. Because let's be honest, when you're being that drill instructor type of person with yourself, you're not actually a worm. You're not actually worthless. You're not actually the scum of the earth. That is not true. So if you just tell yourself, I'm working through this situation and I have done these things to create progress, and I haven't done some of these things, but this is where I am now and it's not where I was. That is actual assessment and truth. That is the actual truth. And then on top of that, if you give yourself the compassion and say, this is good. I'm glad that this is where I am. I'm grateful that I've taken the steps that I've had. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of me. You know, that can give you a greater opportunity at success towards your desired outcomes. Having a positive association with our progress, no matter how large or small, creates a relationship with our body and mind that this is good. This is nourishing. This feels, this just feels good. I don't know. I don't have another word for it. It feels good, like when you eat a warm bowl of stew or soup on a chilly day. It feels good, like when your favorite person gives you a big squeezy hug. It feels good, like when you get validation from someone, because you are giving that validation from yourself about the progress that you're making. It's all you, boo. So celebrate you. And even when it's challenging to make those changes, when it's hard to make those shifts, when we are in that kind of questioning space, when we don't know if we're doing it right, it feels good to just honor that. It feels good to honor that, and it helps to make those challenges less intimidating. It's also important to be mindful of maintaining awareness of where we are, so we can ensure we're heading where we desire to be going. Assessment creates clarity and accountability. It also maps out our journey, so once we reach our target, we can review and appreciate all the progress we've made. So yeah, assessment, that's, like I mentioned, assessment is the truth. Assessment is the truth, because if we're just criticizing ourselves, being cynical, often we can dramatize the bad things, and we are put in a society and often raised in family dynamics that tell us that what negative things you're saying about yourself, that the negative things that you're saying about yourself are more true than a positive thing. But that's also a dramatization. That's also a dramatization. Because the truth is whatever the actual results are. And that's why assessment is so powerful. And that's why when we're talking about personal practice, journaling is major. I've gone through some of my old journals recently, and I have seen how I've been sharpening in on this vision I have of serving people through coaching, through holding space for conversations, through encouraging the youth. I've seen how this is getting sharper and sharper, and I'm grateful that I have those markers to look back on, so that I can say that's where I was and this is where I am now. And let me tell you, when you're reading your old journals or notes or whatever, you remember how you felt in those spaces. You remember what your internal was like. And I am extremely grateful for how my internal world has shifted, become more grounded, become more certain and more confident and just more clear. Because that is what's really bringing forth the clarity with my service, with my activities, with my life. Having that inner connection be clearer and cleaner and stronger is really what's bringing forth all of the clarity with the services that I offer, the structure, the systems, what's allowing me to build connections and community. All of that is coming from my inner world. And I can feel that progress when I look back on those pages and I say, yo, this is how I used to feel back then. But now I have grown and I can give myself a hug, give myself a pat on the back, give myself a high five. Because it's real. And if you are consistent, and that's what we talked about last week too, consistency. Say it with me. Consistency is so important. It's so important when you're doing your personal practice, when you are in self-development, when you are spiritual development, when you are building a connection, restructuring your life, recreating who you are. Consistency is so important. And assessment helps you to stay consistent. And when you do those personal practices, again, if you're doing journaling or if you're doing like a doodle kind of deal, I've also done that. It really helps you to keep track of that. So celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself and assess yourself. And the question that I have for today with this session is, I did not do our confidentiality agreement before jumping into this, but I will let you know when you book me for a coaching session, we will have a safe space. This will be a confidential conversation. I know I'm sharing my experience here in public on the internets, on the YouTubes, on the Facebooks, on the social medias. However, when you book a session, I will not be sharing from your experience. And on the other hand, you have full free range to share your experience, whatever you feel like came through for you or what progress you've made. I highly encourage that you share your breakthroughs with people because it helps to amplify. You know, the celebration starts within for sure. But when you're able to share that with other people that you trust and you know are there to support you on your journey, it amplifies that. So you have full free range to share your experience. However, I will keep that confidential per my ethics as a life coach. Let's step into the juicy questions. That's what made me realize it. Because I was like, ooh, that's a good little personal, girl. Let me let's ask this one. What's a challenge you've overcome that you can gain motivation from? I was actually just talking about this recently. I've been doing service work with a local church community, and they go out and they set up tables and they serve food and we pray for people. And I was telling one of the guys how I have overcome the idea that I have to do my life by myself, because that was a real challenge that I had to face. I was definitely someone who felt like I had to do everything by myself. I think I discussed this in one of the other videos where I had this very fierce independence, and it led me into some really challenging situations. And I had that fierce independence even when it came to source, even when it came to God. And I was like, Oh, like I'll pray, for every once in a while, but I got this. I got this. And then I had this experience where I went through my season of homelessness, and I had this experience where I was sleeping on the street, and I was specifically sleeping in this one parking lot, and I just had to let go and let God. I just really had to surrender because I realized that this is not where I want to be. And I'm really doing my best to fight through this by myself in the physical. And I don't want to do that anymore. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of just doing, as I mentioned, the bare minimum to survive. And I didn't see any other way than surrendering because there was literally sleeping on the concrete, rock bottom, y'all. Rock bottom, concrete. And I just had to be like, I give this over to you, God. Like, we are actually in this together. And I had to overcome the challenge of being so fiercely independent and recognize that I can reach out to people, that God is there orchestrating things for me. Like right now, I'm in a season of shifting, and instead of going out and just being like, oh, I'm in this by myself, I've been reaching out for support. I've been reaching out for prayer. I've been reaching out for those good vibes. And just reaching out in my own energetic prayer, connecting to my own source with God, my own connection with God. And understanding like I'm not doing this alone. I'm not by myself. I am connected already. We are created connected. Looping it right around to the beginning, y'all. Go watch that first video if you haven't. Looping it back around to know that we are all a play of God. We are all a movie. We're all an experience of oneness. And that all it takes is for me to understand that I am a part of the oneness, for me to come back into the oneness and be lifted and be supported and be held. And it was really a challenge for me to embrace that interdependence and release the independence, because I was taught through my life experience that being an independent Black woman is like what I had to be in this life, and that I don't need nobody, I don't need no man, I don't need no handouts or whatever. I can just do this all by myself, and I'm bad all by myself. Well, I want to be good with with source. I want to be great. I want to be phenomenal. I want to have an abundant life, and that comes from understanding that we are created connected, that we are all a part of the divine oneness, and that if you reach out, if you say, hey, other part of the divine oneness, this is my part of the divine oneness, and I need some interdependency right now. I can support you, you can support me. There are ways that we can connect and build and create. And so that's a challenge that I've had to overcome. And I gain a lot of motivation from that moment. Like I said, I mentioned it to one of the men that was on the street yesterday, and he's going through some challenges, living on the street. He's taking care of 4 children. And I gained a lot of motivation from that moment, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to share that same motivation with people who are honestly in tougher situations than I was. Just to be frank, who are stronger than me. Because I was just by myself, but there are people out here taking care of children, taking care of other people, who are like escaping major abuses and different, just really challenging things, and they're willing to come into a space where they feel that they can be supported, that they can be prayed for, that they can receive some sort of resource. So yeah, that definitely see through your life what challenges you have overcome that can motivate you. Because I assure you, there is something. I hear all the time that life is not easy. There are so many people in this world who have gone through things, and as I mentioned, they just kind of overlook them because they're like, I should have been doing this, or I could have done this sooner, or whatever. We get so stuck in the criticism that we don't celebrate. We don't celebrate the fact that we overcame those challenges. And when we recognize that we overcame challenges, we can use that to motivate us instead of pull us down. Have you found yourself doing that, where there's something that you accomplished, and instead of using it to motivate you and to pump you up, you use it to pull you down? That was definitely something I did. That was definitely something I did. And that was one of the reasons that I kept myself in that independence. Because I was like, I should be doing this by myself. I should be struggling because other people are out here in the world doing this with greater adversities or whatever. And there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to. But it's not just about me doing it. There is no just me. When you go out and someone gives you a job opportunity or the opportunity to offer your service, to buy your product, like, that's somebody else doing that. You're not in this world alone. I had to realize I am not in this world alone. And you're not going through life just because you should be struggling and going through these challenges and you should have been doing this better or sooner. You're going through life and experiencing challenges so that you can continue to step up and say, like, yo, I was in that space, I had went through that challenge, and I made it through it. And I know that I can make it through this next challenge, whatever this obstacle or adversity that I'm facing. I can go through that because I made it through that. Really take that opportunity to assess your life. Assess your achievements, your accomplishments, as small as learning how to cook for yourself, and as big as getting out of $100,000 of debt. You know, like, so many different experiences that we have in this life that we can look at for motivation when we adjust our lenses to be more celebratory and less cynical. So that is our time for today. And then when we do our in-person sessions, there is when we do our one-on-one sessions or the group sessions, there is a visual activity that I won't be doing here. But again, when you book, we will go through that, because this is also an opportunity to express your inner creator, not just connect to your inner creator. So for this session, if you would like to try it, the visual work is to create a perspective plane by drawing a horizontal line straight across the middle of the page, then draw one line from the middle angled to the left, going down, and then another line from the same point in the middle, angled to the right, going down. And then above the horizontal line, you're going to illustrate where you are now, and in the spaces between the angled lines, where you see yourself being. So it's like a road. That's the idea here. You're creating a road. So you have this horizontal plane, and then you have this road coming out. So the place closest to you, the bottom of the page, is going to be the place closest to you, where you see yourself being. And then on the horizon, above that line, is where you see yourself now, and you're walking yourself towards where you want to be. I believe this will be really powerful visualization activity. So if you do try it, you can hashtag on Instagram, inner creator. and I'll go through that hashtag. I go through it sometimes. There's not that much on it, so definitely take advantage. And I can check it out. And you can also tag me, ADC_life coaching. Let me know how this visualization activity went for you. Let me know how the inner creator connection process is going for you. If you decide to do this independently, I fully promote that and what's the word? Condone. I fully condone that. This is something that I have found myself going through. So if you find that you want to try this out for yourself, please feel free and let me know how it treats you. And if you find that you are looking for more support and more accountability and more connection, then reach out at anjuliqueart@gmail.com and DM me or whatever, get in contact however you can. And the self-work to wrap up for this week, let's see, because we got a few. I'm going to do this one because we talked about the importance of assessment. So if you're watching this, do a journal entry for each day until our next session, which would be for a week. And journal how your alignment practices have served you and how you celebrated yourself for being consistent and accountable. So if you are in the process of building your personal practice, or you already in personal practice, but journaling isn't particularly one of them, or you only have like a gratitude journal or whatever, try this journal exercise of just day by day seeing how your alignment practices have served you, and also how you are celebrating yourself for being consistent and accountable. And if you look back over the week and you realize like, hey, I'm doing my practices, but I'm not really celebrating myself. Or if you're on day like 2 or 3 and you're like, hey, I haven't really celebrated myself. I've just been kind of doing the journal thing. It brings that importance of self-celebration to the forefront. It's kind of the intention of this activity, to remind you that you are making progress with your personal practice and you're being consistent because you're journaling about it. And then also bringing that self-celebration to the forefront, because again, so important to creating that inner creator connection and not being so dependent on external validation and celebration, because it comes from within you. So with that, thank you for watching today. Again, if you are looking for support with living a more authentic life without blame, shame, or guilt, if you're looking for support with building a personal practice and self-celebration, that's what this is for. That is what this is for. That is what I'm here for. Is one of my gifts, is one of my pleasures to share with you all. So reach out, DM me, email me at anjuliqueart@gmail.com. And next week we're going to be assessing our authentic inner creator calling through stillness. So it's going to be more of a meditation and just an appreciation of all of the work that you've done so far. Give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a nice hug, give yourself a high five, because you are making it through this process, and it really works if you do the work. Say it with me. Consistency. Okay. But yeah, beloved, you are definitely in the right place at the right time, and it's just up to you now to create the life you desire through taking the action and being accountable. Until next time, have a beautiful, wonderful, spectacular, magical day, because you deserve it, because you are worthy, because you can literally actually create it. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.